Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm Hannah Elliott.
And I'm Matt Miller. This is Hot Pursuit. Coming up on today's podcast,
We have a special gift. Zach Brown, you may have heard of him. He's in motorsport, if you will.
he's a champion.
He's a champion, and it's kind of nuts. He's an American working for a British company.
And he's a car collector.
And he's a car collector, car guy, great driver himself.
And he's a boss. He's a CEO.
He's a boss. It's unbelievable. Not only is he the boss of McLaren F1, he's the boss of all of McLaren Racing, which is a big, big job.
Yeah, he has to be at a lot of different places at the same time. But the coolest part is me and Hannah, we're not even here. We're recording this like a week ahead of time.
We're coming to you from the future and the past.
So happy Boxing Day. This is a pre-recorded episode, and it's meant as a special gift to Clarence, who emailed us. hotpursuit@bloomberg.net is our email address. He emailed us and said, you guys should have Zach Brown on. So
here you go. We aim to please. Ask and ye shall receive.
Merry Christmas, Clarence.
I love talking to Zach Brown because he is articulate and he's not so media trained that he's really boring. He is a
I think
real
he's just
person.
honest.
Yeah, he just speaks in straight lines. There's no BS. He answers questions directly. It's a dream. And he's a real person.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
that. And
anyway,
it's crazy. It is crazy, though, how chill he comes off when you consider everything he's running and operating.
yeah, his schedule must be nuts.
It's insane. Did you know that McLaren is the only company to win the Indy 500, 24-hour Le Mans, and Monaco?
I did not know that. Let's get over to Zach Brown, CEO of McLaren, without any further ado.
McLaren is the only team that competes in Formula One, Indy Car, Formula E. You've got Extreme E. You've got esports. My big question for you is, how do you get it all done? Can you give us some best practices for how this is sustainable for you? I know you just renewed your contract until I think 2030. How are you finding your life sustainable and even joyful? I follow you on Instagram, of course, and you seem very well at ease and like you're enjoying things, but I know you're probably paddling furiously underneath everything.
It's all the above. First of all, I love my job. I love McLaren, always have. My favorite team growing up, and it's a privilege to work for McLaren. So it's a pretty cool job. That's a great place to start from. The travel's brutal. I think the secret to success, if you'd like, is having a great leadership team around me, and each racing team is self-sufficient. So the IndyCar team isn't dependent upon the F1 team, isn't dependent upon the Formula E team. There's a lot of commercial synergies, opportunities for our employees, synergies. So there's a lot of synergies, but the Formula One team here in Montreal doesn't need anything from the IndyCar team, and the IndyCar team doesn't need anything from the team in Formula One. So they can all run independently. The benefit is when you put them all together for our commercial partners, for employee opportunities. I'm kind of the only fool that flies around the world trying to be in all places at one time. But I love it. It's what I've been doing my whole life. It certainly has its days where you can just get tired, but I'm never tired of it. I just sometimes lack sleep. But I love being around these racing teams. Fortunately, in the digital world we live in, if I'm in the Indy 500, I've got my double, triple top secret Dell laptop like I am on pit walls. So I feel like I'm very connected to the Formula One team, even if I'm not there. So big organization, but we're in the racing business and it's all running pretty smoothly.
By the way, you have been at the helm not only for the resurgence of your team, but really for the resurgence of the sport and racing. I mean, I read a comment. You were talking about the fact that Williams was sold for $150 million a few years back, and now it's worth at least 10x. And I just think, the popularity of this already incredibly popular sport has grown so much in the last few years. Is that all down to Drive to Survive, or to what do you attribute that?
I don't think it's all down to Drive to Survive. I think it's definitely played a a big role. I think what it's all down to is Liberty. And when they acquired the sport, the way they've reshaped the sport, focus on the fan, get the teams to kind of show the fans behind the curtain, how the sport works, which I think Netflix has played a big role there. So I think where the credit's due is due to Liberty. Netflix has certainly had its role within that. But look at what's happened in North America. We've gone from 1 race to 3 races, a new television partner, Netflix. We've got a Brad Pitt movie. Who isn't going to watch the next Brad Pitt movie and go, I want to be Brad Pitt, Formula One driver. So we've brought in women to the sport. We've brought in youth to the sport. We've really made great strides in sustainability. So I think you got to look at what Liberty has done for the sport as a whole and all the participants in it, the way we've embraced it. And it took a little bit of time. When Netflix came out, year 1, Mercedes and Ferrari didn't participate, which was a bit of old school thinking. We don't want to show what's behind the scenes, or the money's not great enough. And I think what the sport has woken up to and has embraced is, let's focus on the fan, and then everything else will fall into place. And that's exactly what we've done. And we have more fans than we've ever had, more Grand Prix than we've ever had, 10 unbelievably healthy racing teams. So it's like everything is just green, 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 go, go, go right now in Formula One. And to me, what's really exciting is I don't see that trajectory going anywhere other than north, because the racing's getting even better and the teams are healthier and we have demand for more Grand Prix than ever. So I think in many ways we're just getting started.
Can there ever be too many Grand Prix in North America? I mean, we're at 5, and there always seems to be rumbling that there could be one in Chicago or New York. Is there a critical mass, so to speak?
I think there is, and I think we're there now, and I'll break that down for you. I think 24 races is the maximum we can do. It's a brutal number. Put aside the fact that I would go race 52 times a year. I wouldn't be very popular with my racing team if I was a proponent of that. So, but I'm a little bit petrol in my blood, not that others don't. So 24, I think, is the max. I think we need to, I'd be an advocate of like 20 fixed races and 8 that rotate every other year. So you maintain a 24 race schedule, but you continue to grow the reach in the markets because the demand is there. Then, of course, who are those that get it every other year? I think we're at maximum capacity in Americas, 3 in North America, 3 in the States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil. That's awesome. I don't think, while I think the sport would embrace more, I think that would come to the detriment of other parts of the world. I'd love to see another race or 2 in Asia. I'd love to see us in South Africa, et cetera. So I think the sport and the fans would embrace more races, but I think we're a global championship and we have some other pockets of the world we need to work on. So I think the only way you could bring in another North American race is if that became part of a rotation. Because, I'd love to see us in Korea. I'd love to see us in Thailand. We almost got into Vietnam. I'd love South Africa, some of these other territories, and to make sure that we continue to expand our global footprint. India would be a great market to be in. So I think we're in a good place in America.
Can you bail on Monaco?
I was just going to ask that. That's what we all want to know.
I mean, honestly, Zach, can't they just do qualifying and then go to a cocktail party?
No.
Because
could we bail on Monaco? We could. I think the sport is so strong, and we have so many awesome races. Could we? We could. Should we? Will we? I don't think we should, and I don't think we will. But could we? Yes. I think
could Monaco go alternating years?
I mean, certainly that could fall into that camp if you'd like. The spectacle is still amazing. The TV ratings are still very strong. Of course, it isn't it's a pure race. It has the least amount of passing, always has, always will. I think, the sport is commercially so strong that, it's always kind of had one of the more favorable terms and conditions. I think they need to get caught up there because, we are in a commercial sport, and one could argue, wait a minute, some of these other venues are driving similar TV ratings, great racing, and contributing a lot more to the growth of the sport fiscally. You've got the Miamis, the Vegases, the Singapores. I mean, these are all awesome races. So I'd be surprised if it didn't stay on the calendar, but if it went away, would it create a lot of noise in the short term? Yes. Would people move on and Formula One be as strong as ever? I think it would.
Do you get more recognition in the U.S. by far for F1? Because Indy has been so exciting the last few years. And when I was a kid in the middle of America, people packed up RVs and went to Indianapolis. Like, it was the greatest spectacle in racing. But it just seems like F1 has eclipsed every other league by far.
Formula One's done an amazing job. I think there is a lot Indy Car could learn from Formula One. I think there's a lot Formula One can learn from IndyCar. We can all learn from each other's sport, but Formula One's done an unbelievable job. Yes, I do get a lot more commentary, if you'd like, when I'm in North America about Formula One than IndyCar. I think there's a tremendous amount of untapped potential in IndyCar, but we need to pick up the pace. I think there's a lot of opportunity, some of which we're seizing, and other areas that we need to catch up on, and we need to kind of throw it up a gear or two, and I'm confident we will. But there is a lot of opportunity, and I think we need to pick up the pace, because it wasn't long ago Formula One had no profile in North America. And now, we do have to ask ourselves, with our IndyCar hat on, put aside Indy 500 television ratings, why does Formula One have greater television ratings than IndyCar in our home market in awkward time zones where we only race a few times a year? And I think that's a bit of a wake-up call as to we can be and should be doing a better job, because the racing and the product is great. So we have to ask ourselves, why is Miami and Monaco, when to your point wasn't the most exciting racing, why is Monaco getting a bigger television rating in our home market than all of our other races outside of the Indy 500? So I think it's a bit of a wake-up call.
Are you saying that Indy needs a rebrand? A complete rebranding?
I think I wouldn't necessarily say rebranded. I think we need to continue to really focus on the consumer. I think there's a lot of room for improvement around our digital experience, our outreach to the fans. I think we could use a refresh of the product. Our racing cars have been around for quite some time. I think the calendar has room for improvement. So I think there's lots of opportunity. We just need to seize it. I'm confident we will. There's a lot of conversations going on around, freshening up the product. So I don't think it necessarily needs a rebrand, but I think it needs a refreshing. I mean, I think we have to be real when looking at the data and the statistics and go, why does Formula One come into our home market and not long ago had lesser television ratings and now has greater television ratings? So I think that, but I think the good news is I think the product is great. We just need to do a better job.
Roger Penske needs to call John Malone.
I'll leave that to Roger and John.
Well, I'm curious, it is ironic that an American company, Liberty Media, is like you said, sort of the catalyst to launching Formula One in the U.S. and really making it acceptable to American consumers. That just seems ironic. Does it take an American sensibility to translate some of these, at least European style racing? Obviously,
I'm so glad they bought
American.
MotoGP, which is already amazing.
Yeah,
so.
I think they're going to do great with MotoGP. I think you never want to kind of stereotype region.
Sure. I
think we got to give a lot of credit to Austin, COTA. They did a fantastic job bringing Formula One back, and then it's just built on itself. And you need date equity. People need to get familiar with the drivers. And I think what Netflix did, especially in North America, is it kind of lifted the cover off of how does the sport work and the personalities and the drama and the politics. And I think the American fan really likes to get personal with their sport. And I think Formula One had historically, pre-Liberty, been a little bit of a look but don't touch type of sport. And now it's let us get to know these 20 awesome racing drivers and the team bosses. And I think fans around the world, and I think the reason why it's had such a big impact in America is I think it's always been big in Europe and understood, but it was kind of like a fresh sport to America, and Netflix helped kind of put that front and center, and people have responded, and it's been great. I get more commentary now from people in America that go, and it'll be a guy, a father, a husband, and I can't tell you how often he goes, my daughter loves Formula One. My daughter loves Lando Norris, or my wife won't stop watching it. And what it's done is it's taken, which has I think been the most amazing part, it's taking people from having no awareness to avid fan overnight. I hear so often, I won't miss a Grand Prix now, versus I'm aware and I kind of like it. They're like diehard fans. So it's been amazing, and we just need to continue to build on that.
Does it make a difference to your sales, Zach? I mean, especially as you guys have started on a winning run lately. Is it possible to sell more McLarens?
Win on Sunday, sell
definitely.
on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. The good old phrase. It doesn't quite work that easily. We don't see necessarily big spikes on Monday, but you can see North America is our biggest market for our automotive business and continues to grow. And you can see how many McLaren automotive fans are fans of the Formula One team and vice versa. So we're fortunate, like a few others in the sport, where we've got these two awesome brands and the world collide, and we help scratch each other's back, if you like.
What do you drive?
Yeah,
Zach?
what do you like to drive?
Well, my daily driver is a bit more of a Range Rover, because it's not the easiest place in the world to navigate. Of course, I've got my McLarens in the garage, but I'm a car junkie. So if you name a sports car, I've got one of those. So
and you collect too, right? Memorabilia, sports memorabilia.
Yeah, I'm a big baseball fan, ice hockey fan, as far as collecting collectible documents. So I've got a pretty awesome collection. There's all my childhood dreams. I wanted to be a baseball player, an ice hockey player. It didn't quite work out, but I'm fortunate now. A lot of baseball players, hockey players, golfers are fans of the sport. So it's a privilege being in the position I'm in to be able to meet a lot of my heroes and idols growing up. I don't think they quite realize it, because I think they're equally as excited to kind of come to a Formula One race, but it's pretty cool having Albert Pujols and Paul Goldschmidt and Timo Solani, and as I mentioned, I'm going to have dinner with Marc Messier, who I've not met, who through a mutual friend, which I'm very excited, because I grew up watching Marc. He's an awesome player, and so excited to meet him. It makes me feel like I'm 13, 14 again, even though they probably don't appreciate that dating them.
Now, I want to ask, I see you drinking something out of a teacup. I imagine it's tea. How has it been as an American living in the UK? Do you find yourself adjusting to quirky British lifestyles?
Yeah, 100%. But back when I was racing, I lived in England. So I lived there from 91 to 94. I've been there now. It's about 12 years. I love Europe, love England, I love traveling. Always been a fan of it. I definitely think I've picked up some of the quirks, if you'd like to call them that, but I haven't left my American ones behind at all. So I'm a bit of a mutt now. No one can quite figure out my accent, but it all still kind of sounds the same to me.
By the way, when I'm looking through Bring a Trailer, which is like an addiction for me, it annoys me when I see a right-hand drive car that I want, because it's just wrong. Do you buy right-hand drive cars? I mean, for your collection?
Yeah, I got a bit of everything. I mean, if I have a choice, then I'm buying a left-hand drive, but I have both in the collection. It kind of depends. If it's a British car, you're going to end up with a right-hand drive, as it should be, but plenty of left-hand drive. I'd say I'm probably three-quarters.
When you want a car, do you know what you want and find it, or do you look around and something strikes your fancy and you're like, oh, I'd like that?
It kind of depends if it's a road car or if it's a race car. If it's a road car, I know what I want. I kind of know where to go. I've got a few dealer friends, if you'd like, that will sort me out if it's a race car, you either kind of react. So one that I'd been chasing for years was Nigel Mansell's Indy Championship car from 1993. Never had any success. And then Newman Haas put it up for auction, and I was all over that. So the race cars, you kind of know what you want, but they're not necessarily always for sale. So sometimes it's reacting when you see something that comes on the market.
Do you think the price goes up when people realize who they're selling to? Or do you try to keep it a little anonymous if you're interested in something?
It kind of depends who it is and what it is. You mentioned bring a trailer. That was one where I hid.
You don't have to tell us your handle.
No, I had a friend do it for me, a buddy named Alan, where McLaren's motorhome from 1972, and I bought this a few years ago, and I think it won auction story of the year, where it was McLaren's 1972 motorhome. It was awesome, a Ford Condor, and cool. I was like, I definitely have to have this, but I don't want anyone to know who's bidding for it. And the owner had it for quite some time, so I had my buddy bid. He won it, and then it was quite a little bit of a bidding war. And then my buddy said, well, you're never going to outbid the CEO of McLaren. And then everyone just went nuts, including the owner, who had a bit of a teary moment because he had it for quite some time. He wanted it to go to the right home, and no one knew. And that then became quite a cool story. And I love sharing the history of the sport with everyone. I'm happy to share that I'm the biggest fan of motorsports and the history of the sport. So I feel like it's part of my role. I remember what an impression when I went to the Long Beach Grand Prix in 1981 it made on me as a 10-year-old. And so I feel part of my role at McLaren is to share how cool this sport is with the fans. So I'm always stopping and talking to them. Happy to share these stories. And when you get into the car collection and things of that nature, while I have them in my racing facility, we get them out. I like to share them, like to tell people the stories because I know what an impression it made on me. And I hope that someone, 10, 20, 30 years from now goes, I remember meeting Zach and it was cool. He let me look at the car. He introduced me to Lando. He stopped and talked to me because that's what our sport is about. It's about the fans.
By the way, on that note, do you, and you mentioned bring more women in the sport, and Hannah and I talk a lot about the academy and trying to get more women to drive. How do you groom young talent? Do you have specific programs for that? When you're talking to little girls and boys, do you say, hey, you guys should try doing some laps in the go-kart? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, one, it's about creating awareness. So people, want to get involved in motorsports. Obviously, the driving is the most famous part, but, it's important to us to get young boys and girls involved in all aspects of the sport, whether they want to be engineers or marketeers or racing drivers, whatever the case may be. So a lot of it is about just creating awareness. So there's excitement to participate. And then it's about creating opportunity. So we just announced a program called 60 Scholars. Last year was our 60-year birthday. And it was 60 opportunities for young women ages 18 to 23 to get involved with McLaren around STEM. So we're just trying to create awareness, opportunity. It's why we got involved in Extreme E, where you have a male and female racing driver. So we had, for the first ever time a couple of years ago, announced first ever female McLaren racing driver. We've extended that to the F1 Academy, which is an all-female racing series. So we're doing everything we can to create awareness, create opportunity, to have a more diverse workforce and fan base. And it's exciting.
So that was Zach Brown, and wow, what a treat to have him. He always says something that is new or interesting or just sort of changes how I understand racing and American car culture. He's great.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the fact that F1 could possibly go without Monaco. He made me kind of understand that in a way that I haven't been thinking about the last few weeks. Like, not that they don't want to, and he doesn't think they will, but they could survive because they're strong enough that they don't need it.
That does it for this week's show. Remember to follow and subscribe to Hot Pursuit on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen. You can also send us your comments. Email us at hotpursuit@bloomberg.net.
Check out Hannah's columns and stories on Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg Business app. Go there for car reviews, events, and stories that you won't find anywhere else. Find it all at Bloomberg.com/pursuits/autos. I'm Matt Miller.
And I'm Hannah Elliott. We'll be back in your podcast feed again next week.